Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorcom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out big news. And guys, if you believe in the future of nickel and the role they're going to play in electric vehicles, then Power Nickel is the emerging growth company you need to start paying attention to. Why? They've drilled one of the best nickel holes reported in recent history, according to Terry Lynch, CEO on the screen right there. That's at their Nisk property, which already has a historical 43101 in a jurisdiction with three other battery metal exploration companies, and they're updating their 43101 to come out sometime in the fall. They're targeting 8 million tons, but that's just round one. They're really targeting hopefully between 20 and 50 million tons over the next 2 years. And then the cherry on top of that is they're aiming to make Nisk the world's first carbon neutral nickel mine. Now, in case you're thinking, because you've watched this for the first time, you've heard about the company for the first time, saying, well, maybe they're talking a lot of hot air. Listen to this headline: CVMR investment to fund feasibility program at Power Nickel's Nisk project. Unbelievable news. Terry, welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, great day for us, George. It's a big step forward for the company, and we're really looking forward to working with CVMR, who is a world leader in the nickel powder, anode, and wire business. And yeah, just an amazing group to work with, and we think at Nisk we can create something special together.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that from the headline, because it's not like you're saying Apple or something like that. People are, who's CVMR? One of the world's leaders in nickel powder, wire, and anode production, a key supplier to battery defense in the aerospace industry, a world leader in metal powder production using 3D printing, and they've also just happened to have their own mining, refining of their own mineral resources in 18 countries. But if that's not enough, you've also got a couple of anecdotal things that they've done that I didn't know about them that were pretty cool. Why don't you tell us so everyone knows just how big these guys are?
Yeah. Obviously they're obviously not being a public company, they're a private concern, so they're not out there branding on the NFL Today or something like that. But some of the things they've done are super impressive. Like the super collider up in Sudbury has $10 million nickel tubes. These guys made them.
Wow.
And then the most impressive thing to me was the US $100 bill. It's being printed on a nickel plate made by these guys in their powders. So in pretty impressive story. I mean, you don't get to do business
with Secret Service all over the place, right?
Yeah, that's right. There was I guess 70 Secret Service guys there and helicopters overhead and the whole bit. So you can imagine that the process you'd have to go through to be trusted with that, right? So pretty impressive group, and that's just they're doing a couple of $2 billion projects. Another one in Texas right now, and another one in Africa, multi-billion-dollar projects. So these are very quietly big guys at what they do, and they're really, that was what impressed us is when we were chatting and getting to know each other. He said, Terry, what do you get for nickel? And I said, well, ultimately we would get London LME price. He says, that's right. He says, you know what I get? And I said, I have no idea. He says, I get 2 to 3 times LME. He says, how do you like that?
Because they refine it
that
further.
Sounds really good.
Value-added products, right?
And this is what I've come to learn, George, is that the money in nickel really is in the refining. And this is where the Valets and the Glencores and the BHPs have made so many billions over the years, is in that business. And of course, they buy the concentrate from the miners, but the juice that they make is really impressive. And of course, it's been not an area where a microcap miner like Power Nickel could ever even hope to aspire to. There's just too much expertise, right, too much capex, etc. But what's interesting about the supply chain dynamics now is that it brings people like CVMR to the table to talk to people like Power Nickel to say, hey, we need a source of Class 1 nickel in North America to get more clients and to grow our business here, which is growing like gangbusters. Let's we like your project, let's work together. So all of a sudden, we have an opportunity now to get to the the big boys table, where you can start to share in some of this potentially refinery business profits and really be a manufacturer, but without us having to be the skill set. Like they would be that team member that builds the plant, operates the plants, and makes the sales. And we provide the obviously the ore and we'll get the cut that's appropriate for that. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity, and we're looking forward to exploring it with them.
And Terry, you've been banging the table about the Class 1 nickel, about the carbon neutral side, about the size of what Nisk is today, but more importantly, where you think it's going to be tomorrow. And listen, in the investment world, in the small cap world especially, you wouldn't blame someone for saying, well, maybe Terry's just talking his own book. But in this press release, Cameron Cozen, the CEO of CVMR, says, we don't yet know how big it can be, but we see enough there today to believe this would be a commercial mine. Our initial focus will be on a 10,000 ton per day plant. What does it feel to have that kind of third party validation from someone like Cameron to say that, and on behalf of CVMR?
Yeah, I mean that's awesome, right? I mean, and that's really one of the things we felt we needed as a company is we needed some external social proof, some validation from somebody other than myself and our board, and have been championing this thing for a long time. But it's great to have industry recognize, and you know what? Honestly, they weren't the only one. There's a lot of people that are in our data room that we're looking, and these are all possible players and partners down the road in the future, offtake guys and stuff like that that may come down to play down the road. So the industry is recognized that Nisk is a really viable, exciting exploration project, and hopefully now starting to move into that commercial zone. And as Cameron said, we don't know how big it can be, and that's the truth. This thing could be very big, and we're doing a lot of work on it this fall. A lot of good exploration insights are coming together, and we're excited about our drill program that's starting now.
To talk about how big this is, I also want to reference your quote. Me referencing Cameron's quote is one of those rare instances where I put the partner ahead of the client. But your quote was equally telling in terms of how big this is going to be. And you said, this will expedite our plans to commercialize Nisk as rapidly as possible. The world needs a lot more class one nickel if we are to hit our climate goals. This is a major step forward for Nisk and the entire battery industry in Canada. So talk to me, because I didn't, a lot of people don't realize this isn't just great for Power Nickel. Why is it great for the entire battery industry in Canada?
Well, clearly the battery manufacturers need a supply of class one nickel. So obviously we could give them that, and they can expedite their own growth plans by tying into whatever delivery vehicle they need in order for it to make sense. The neat part about the CVRM process is it can deliver a variety of battery precursor products, and so we can be flexible and work with our downstream partners in that way. And so that just makes it easier for them to get into business and to deliver products to the automotive sector. So it's just that much closer to home, that much more flexibility. Right now, I don't know if you know that the battery supply process. I mean, nickel is mined here; it's shipped basically to China or Korea, and then reprocessed there, and then it comes back. So think about all the cost of the handling and the carbon footprint. We won't have to do that. We can just go straight from our mine, finished product to the battery plant, goes in, boom. It's just going to be a way more efficient supply chain, a lot less CO2 burn, and overall better economics for everyone.
Getting into the nitty-gritty details a little bit about what this partnership really means, because I want the big picture first, because I really want people to understand that this is big. This isn't just George Com Finance giving you some money. This is some small little nickel guy want a part. This is big. Nitty-gritty part. What does it mean to? I'm reading off my questions. My questions here. What does it mean to fund a feasibility program, and why is that so significant for all the shareholders?
Yeah, so basically, the more advanced your studies become, from technical reports to preliminary economic assessments to pre-feasibility to feasibility, the more certainty of commerciality, right? And also you understand the scope of what is the economic reality of what this opportunity might represent. So it de-risks the project in a substantial way from a investment perspective. So the more you can advance that, the better investors can understand the actual value of the end product, and then of course make their investment decisions based upon that. So for us, it's a giant de-risking program, and it's also a giant exposure program. We've always, George, I've been pounding the table for a long time saying, Power Nickel and Nisk represent the greatest nickel investment opportunity in the world. Now, of course, as you say, I'm talking my book because I'm the biggest shareholder of my family are, but it's also true, in my view, because of what we've discovered and the grade and its potential. But it's hard in this current market, which is so tough, for miners, for lots of reasons. but to get the retail guys off their wallet and to get the institutions off their wallet. So that's why we had to go to industry and get them to make the investment to advance us forward, because at the end of the day, you're burning money as a public company until you're making cash flow, and we're not there yet. So obviously you got to keep on advancing your project, and you have to find ways to do it. So in this case, the best way forward was to work with industry, and we were lucky enough to have a project that meets the sort of the merits of an industry type investment, because that doesn't work on every one. Most of them are too small.
And what I love about this is just another, but one of the biggest examples I've seen where the industry is connecting direct with a small cap critical metals exploration company at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that seems to be happening more and more, which, Terry, that's just a great sign of how serious the battery metal space is going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years, right? Because before it'd be like, get financing from George, and then go out to the market and go through a couple of players out there. But now you're going right, the end users are connecting with us now.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a sign of the times, and I think the industry, and the government too, to their credit, have recognized that there's a lot of capital needed to get things going. You're not going to get there, and right now the market is behind that, for lots of reasons. The market hasn't woken up, and so, but the product is so much needed that industry has to step up. Government's got to step up, because at the end of the day, they're not going to get to their lofty climate goals and where they want to be in 2030, 2035, if they don't start actually making mines and start being able to supply the plants that are under construction. Like, I don't know, $60 billion worth of battery plants are under construction in North America today, and they're going to need a lot of class 1 nickel. They're going to need copper, they're going to need graphite, they're going to need cobalt, so all these things. And where are they? So that's why it's important to be able to advance your project forward, because eventually the market is going to wake up and say, holy cow. And I think this market at some point is going to gap crazily, and back to where it should be and where people can get proper funding.
Play out the process for us, Terry, as to now that CVMR has made this investment, fund through the feasibility. There's certain stages to this.
Yeah, we staged it because there's different reporting on different stages. So basically, it's an equity investment. So at each stage, there'll be an additional equity taken down based upon the pricing at the time. So our view was next one is sort of end of October. That gives us plenty of time to get our 43-101 out. We'll be drilling now. Our new drill results. Wow. So we should, and this news. So all this should theoretically, I'm giving up trying to predict the stock market, George. I'm really lousy at it. But one would think this is creating value for people, and people will eventually realize this in the market, and so we'll have less dilution going forward. But basically, it'll take about 9 months to go start to finish on this in terms of getting to the understanding what a feasibility study shows, and at the same time, we'll also be drilling pretty much the entire period of time, and so that allows the resource to continue to grow. Because as Cameron said, to me, he said, well, there's two things. Obviously the size of the resource is one thing, and then the actual resource and how profitable it is to mine that resource. So he said that's really what the feasibility study is going to do. It's going to tell you, 1 ton of ore can be made into this many dollars worth of finished products at this cost. And that's your margin. And then all of a sudden you've got your data points, you've got your, overall quantity over here, and then you've got your profit here. And then it's like, okay, and now it costs you so much to build it. And then you figure out how that's, gets shared, and you go from there. So that's theoretically what, the puzzle pieces are being, now advanced forward on the table.
This is an initial investment. I actually say that in the press release. And you just referenced the fact that there'll be other stages depending on where the price of power nickel is at the time. So is it overstating it to say power nickels for shareholders that our financing concerns are pretty much done, that we're going to have somebody there along the way the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's done as far as the feasibility study. Now they'll certainly fully fund that. That'll be over $7.5 million at the end of the day. So that's fully funded. Of course, we'll need additional capital to keep on drilling and advancing at some point in time. But we always said that the next money in was going to be strategic, and was important for lots of reasons. And then obviously we're drilling now, so hopefully the market starts to revalue the thing, and we'll go from there. But obviously we're in pretty good shape.
When you have a strategic funder like this, though, for the feasibility side, for that side, it must make raising money for the drilling side and and operating costs a
Yeah,
lot easier to
yeah,
attain, right?
we've been offered lots of money down here, and we said to and this is coming from funds now, which is good, and we said, guys, we want to get, we feel like we're close to something material for us, so we want to get this news out, get the fact that we're drilling out, get some near stage significant milestones out, and then we'll see where it goes. I mean, at the end of the day, ultimately to fully drill this thing out, we probably have to spend another 20 or 30 million dollars, you know what I mean, over the next couple of years. So we don't have that in the bank, so we'll of course be raising money, but it's about doing it in stages that add value for the shareholders and allows you to move the ball further and further down the football field towards the touchdown zone.
Terry, congratulations on getting this done. You've been pounding the table, like I said, so long on Power Nickel, telling us what you have there, all the attributes of it, of Nisk is what I mean. And to see you deliver this kind of third-party validation, third-party, I almost pretty much looks like a partnership to me. I know you haven't called it a partnership, but it almost looks like a partnership. You've got to be feeling great. Last word to you, how should the shareholders be feeling today? Like
I think
what
if you're a Power Nickel shareholder, you got to feel great today. This is one of those days you say, damn, I picked a good one. So I think it's early days. I think what this shows is that there's a highly likelihood that this can become a commercial mine, that other people other than Terry think so. People that with a lot more success in this business than I have, for sure. And I think that's a validation point for all of our shareholders. And it's like, hold on to them, because they're going to be worth a lot more in the future. I believe sincerely. And obviously these guys do as well.
Well, you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk, and this is just a clear indication of this. And you've already told all of us that you're targeting 8 to 10 million tons for this next updated 43101 coming out in the fall. And you believe that there may be between 20 and 50 million tons. And again, Cameron's quote himself says that we don't yet know how big this can be. So it's just a great day for you, for Power Nickel, for all the shareholders. And thanks for giving me great news on one of my last days of holidays in Greece. It's a great way to end off my trip, and can't wait to have you back on pretty soon, right? Because some point the 43101's coming.
Yeah, we've been, as I was telling you before we started chatting on camera, the fleet technology's been working for about 3 weeks now, and yeah, we're going to do an update show on that in about 2 weeks. That stuff's crazy. It's exciting, man. Yeah, some very, very, very exciting stuff.
We're here for you, man. Can't wait for the next one. But for today, relish this, and hats off to you. You're a consummate pro, and I love what you've done for everybody in the industry as far as being an advocate for getting rid of short selling, and now you're having your great success at Power Nickel, and can't wait to share more of it with you in the future, my friend.
Great, George. Thanks again for having us. Have a great day.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Terry Lynch, he's the CEO of Power Nickel, trades in Canada, PNPN for our friends in the US, PNPNF. For those new to the story, because you saw this headline wondering, hey, who's funding these guys through the feasibility, and you want to start your due diligence, get to the profile page on Agoracom, because we've got a good 10,000 foot high view of the company, and then head over to the company's website, do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.